Okay. Dan Halley, back up at the Lucky Bend. Today is August 16th, 2022. Just want to do a video update that we discussed during the meeting. I got Greg Lindner, our company president. We're going in for a little stroll. So those who have not viewed the videos before, this is the upper tunnel adit. This is what's referred to also the structure here, a portal. We're just going to go ahead and move through. Okay, so a little bit of mining terminology. You have a hanging wall and a footwall. This point here that you see timbered above me is a raise. It's all framed in. It's more for safety than anything else. These are water and air lines. This is essentially where we were working last year, and then we went a little further. The first year we were in, this is where we're at. So this here is framed in. That is an open stope. And just from a terminology standpoint, a stope is an area, it's an ore body. So it's a pocket, I guess is a good way to, and so they mined that area out like a room, and that's where they were recovering high grade gold. So since we've done all our sampling and done the necessary work in there, they're using that space from up above to backfill. So waste rock and stuff goes in there. Some other mining terminology. So the average person refer that to as a ceiling. From mining terminology, that's the back. Again, average person would call these walls, but what we refer to them as is ribs. So you may hear that in mining conversations, somebody talking about the back or the ribs, the hanging wall, and the footwall. So those are just some terminology to help as you come along. I'll try and explain some of the features you may see. You got a little red triangle up there. There's a bolt that's set in that rock. And so what these become are survey points. So they're permanent survey points that don't move, because everything we do underground, we map. And that's for future use in putting together data and information. This area here, which we were working in last year, this is just a muck bay. It can eventually be used for storage. Then up above me here, I forgot to mention, you'll see these metal plates. Those are all bolts. So they go back 4 or 6 feet, they're drilled, and then what those do is they stabilize the structure, the rock. So we come around here, we'll just continue to move in. And again, we're in the main tunnel. This is just another muck bay storage area. So what it allows, you don't have to come out as far when you're retrieving materials. So we start, and these are also areas that personnel can move out of the way if you know, the mucker's coming through. It gives us a safe place to get out of the way. This area here, this is where we drilled underneath the stope that I showed you earlier. And why we drilled was to determine the downward dip of the vein. That just means we wanted to determine the structure that carries the gold, which is called the vein, still had gold in it, which all the data indicated it did. And so we proved that out last year drilling. The markings up here, we mark everything that we do, and it's again mapped. So these are the hole numbers, the sequencing, the Lucky Bend in 2021. It's just part of record keeping. You can see the remnants of the holes. And so those holes go down, you know, 65, 75 feet, and they go down at I believe it's about a 15-degree angle. So then we'll just move through, kind of show you where everything's at. You'll see lots of bolts, lots of pipes and tubes. Again, those are all air, compressed air and water lines. So I'm going to turn and go back here a bit. So back in this way, that goes into the cave stope. And one of the projects we're working on, that stope is open at the surface. So what we're doing now is we'll be putting in some 24-inch galvanized pipe all the way to the surface. and then that's where our new, the air handling equipment will connect, and so it'll push the air through here. Right now, where the red hose is, there's a fan motor there. And so when crews are working, and we need the additional air just for the dust or different things like that, that's where it comes from. This is where we were stopped at last year. So you can see some of the work they've done. That is the vein up there. So the vein continues, and then this tunnel, which is the original historic tunnel, follows the path. And what we've been doing this year is we have been widening this, because the original tunnel, which was carved out by individuals using a hammer and a steel moil and very limited blasting because of the ability to move debris, was pretty narrow. You couldn't move equipment back in here. So this raise above me, it's all timbered in now, that is where one of the locations where the vein turns up, where we took some samples. Those were some of the very high grade, 6 to 8 ounces per ton. And then we took some samples along the way here. I recently did an additional batch of sampling. We're waiting on results, and I'll just kind of show you how that works. So we continue down here. Again, it's nice and clean. You can move. We can move equipment in here, but this is all new work that was done this year. Very pleased with the progress Groundhog Mining has done for us this year. You can refer to some of the old videos, and this is a pretty major difference. So here's an example. So just so you can understand how sampling works and how we track everything. So this is a sample I took this year, 2022, or Groundhog took this year. This is 60 feet from a marked point back that direction, and that marked point is directly under that timbered raise I showed you. So that way we can track. We know where everything was done. We map every sample that comes out of here. And any geologist you talk to, mapping is key to success. We do a lot of mapping, and it's why we're going to be successful and are successful. Some of the equipment, this is a one-legged jack. It's just the ram portion of it. These are bolts. We'll keep moving back here. It's a pretty significant progress. I believe we got Mangus back here working. So we come back. So what they're getting ready to do here is they're going to do some blasting, because what we have, and there's Mangus, he's working hard, and so just so everybody knows, none of the wiring is hooked up to the explosives, so we're all safe. But this gives you an idea of what blasting prep looks like. So you'll notice, I believe there's about 50 holes here. Is that correct, Mangus?
Yeah,
50 holes. Those are all drilled. Okay, I'm going to walk forward and just kind of show you where they're at. So this would be a hole. It's filled with powder, blasting caps, and it's ready to go. It just has, it's not been wired into the detonator.
That's what our laser central.
And so in the future, sorry for my fingers getting in the way there, but in the future, as we develop the technology that we displayed at this morning shareholders meeting, you'll be able to drill those holes without using bit steel. That's the plan. In fact, Mangus could sit here with his joystick and essentially let the computer fixate on each point he sets for it, and then he pushes go. And then it does the work. So it saves on personnel, it saves on time, it saves on money. But this area that they're working here is going to be the workaround, similar to what I showed you that we came around in, because they're working around the next stope, which is just up the tunnel here. So that's what we have to work around. That's a cave-in area, and what it really is there's a raise there or a stope that goes to the surface, and that is essentially surface debris that over 100 years has sloughed and caved in here. So instead of dealing with the issues of trying to set up in there, we go around it, which is the workaround. And then our drill station will be in the workaround just like it is in the one that I showed you previously. You see all the different structures, the vein structure again. You can kind of see where my light's there. And so this just follows it through and continues on down. Now, how this tunnel works is this tunnel in length, which they were mining out of, again, back in the 1860s, early 1900s. The last time anyone mined in here was in 1932. Then the government shut everything down. So the total distance from where we started to what's called the face, which is where the tunnel ends, is about 1,000 feet. So we've got a ways to go, but we're making progress. We're about 300 plus feet back now, so I'll let you know we're about between 600 and 700 feet to go. But each step serves its purpose, because how this will work is as we prove these ore bodies out, the work has already begun on the lower tunnel, and the lower tunnel will run directly beneath us, and the elevation difference is about 150 feet. So that's what we got going on. Happy you could join us. Groundhog Mining is doing a fantastic job, and that's where we're at the Lucky Band. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.